This series is made possible by the generous donation of Stifel Financial and viewers like you. Thank you.
Today is Monday, April 20th. Welcome to this edition of Nevada County Now. Over the weekend, Nevada County Public Health announced 2 more cases of COVID-19, bringing the total to 36 laboratory-confirmed cases, 24 in eastern Nevada County and 12 in western Nevada County. For the most current information, visit mynevadacounty.com/coronavirus. The Pacific Crest Trail Association has extended their request for everyone to stay off the trail until further notice. In a statement, they said, with the likelihood of a second wave of COVID-19 infections if social distancing were to end soon, the PCTA has decided to extend our shutdown of all in-person volunteer projects, trainings, and events to June 1st. This includes extending our request for everyone to stay off the Pacific Crest Trail until further notice as well. They plan to reevaluate the situation around the 1st of June. With many of us stuck at home and fire season just around the corner, now is a great time to work on projects to make your home fire safe. One easy project is to make sure your driveways are clearly marked, so if they must, emergency vehicles can find your home or property more easily. The Fire Safe Council of Nevada County provides reflective safety signs for $35 single-sided and $40 for double-sided. Signs are all-weather, UV-resistant metal with 1-inch by 4-inch numbers and pre-drilled holes, making mounting easy. To order, visit their website, areyouffiresafe.com, download the Reflective Signs form and mail it with payment to the Fire Safe Council of Nevada County, or you can purchase directly from the website on the signs page. Please allow 2 to 3 weeks for delivery. Signs need to be picked up at the Fire Safe Council of Nevada County office when they arrive. Nevada County is partnering closely with the City of Grass Valley, Nevada City, Town of Truckee, and community partners to reach individuals experiencing homelessness during the COVID-19 pandemic. These people may not have the same access to hygiene or the ability to self-isolate if they are symptomatic or highly vulnerable to COVID-19. So far, several portable hand washing stations and hand sanitizer dispensers have been installed throughout the county. The county's Homeless Outreach and Medical Engagement, or HOME team, continues outreach to those experiencing homelessness in the community, including distribution of field sanitation kits to unsheltered homeless individuals without access to hand washing and sanitation resources. Hospitality House has ramped up their services to provide 24/7 care to our homeless population, while ensuring safe and healthy practices through social distancing, self-isolation, and maintaining a symptom-free environment through monitoring health and taking temperatures. Spirit Peer Empowerment Center continues to offer showers, laundry, and other limited services to those experiencing homelessness, while also continuing to practice and share best practices around hygiene and physical distancing. In both Western and Eastern County, Nevada County HHSA has secured various hotel and motel rooms for symptomatic and highly vulnerable individuals experiencing homelessness. The home team and other staff from Hospitality House, Freed, and Behavioral Health are providing case management and food deliveries to guests during their stay so they can safely isolate. Let's take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, Stifel Financial. And when we return, we'll hear more about this issue from Mike Dent, Director of the Department of Child Support, Collections, Housing, and Community Services.
Thank you to Stifel Financial, proudly helping individuals pursue financial goals, businesses and organizations raise and protect capital, and communities offer a higher quality of life. To learn more, visit www.stifel.com.
Welcome back. We left off discussing how our county is dealing with homelessness in the wake of this current pandemic. Last week I met with Mike Dent, Director of the Department of Child Support, Collections, Housing, and Community Services, to discuss this issue in more detail. So nice to have you with us, Mike.
Sure, Cole. Thanks for having me on. My name is Mike Dent. I'm the Director of Housing and community services. The other jobs I do are child support director and collections, which is kind of general county debt owed. So there's 3 different departments under me. And I think you want to talk about housing and homelessness specifically today, right?
Yeah, that was generally the direction I was trying to go in for this one.
Mhm.
So what can you tell us then about homelessness in the county? Maybe numbers and some of the programs that are set up to help deal with them
Sure.
pre-pandemic, and then we'll get
Pre-pandemic?
into some of the rest of that a little bit later.
Yeah, so pre-pandemic, our last point in time count was last January, and we had 410 people. This was a count of sheltered and unsheltered homeless people. So 410 is kind of our number that we're using with housing and urban development. And the reason we do point in time counts is because it sets funding levels for the next 2 years. And so that's why it's important on odd numbered years, 2019, our next one will be next year on 2021, that we try to count everybody who's homeless, whether they're sheltered, living in a car, or in a unsheltered environment. So services that are available, wow, there's a lot out there. There's a continuum of care. Nevada County Regional Continuum of Care is the funding mechanism from Housing and Urban Development and also the State Department of Housing and Community Development. They use that. It's basically a community-driven organization as a as a conduit for funding. And so there's, down payment assistance. There's obviously the emergency shelters. There is outreach efforts through the homeless and medical engagement team. There's services through behavioral health, assisted full service partnership housing through behavioral health. That's for severely mentally ill. There's a wide variety of services. It's kind of a lot to talk about.
Right.
What we do know on our homeless counts is the majority of the homeless people in our community are from here. They went to school here. They came here for family. They've been here for more than a year. I think it's about 70% of them have been around for quite a while. A urban legend out there is that people just kind of come and go or being shipped here. We have no evidence that people are being shipped here. It is actually illegal. If that ever came up, I'd love to know about it, and law enforcement would love to know about it, because we're not supposed to be shipping people to another jurisdiction if they do not have supportive network there. Do we move people out of our county? Absolutely. We've moved people who are trying to get back to Florida or up to Oregon. Sometimes they come here on a Craigslist job and that doesn't work out and they're basically homeless and destitute here. We want to get them back to their family or friends and their support wherever that is. So we do know that our homeless population has self-reported about 50 to 55% seriously mental illness. They'll say, I have mental illness. If you can imagine, if you are, suffering from a mental illness diagnosis, and then you lose your job, and then you lose your house, and then you lose your wife or your husband, you can go homeless pretty quickly. We're seeing that right now with the COVID pandemic. Everybody, what is it? Can't remember the numbers on the national news, but a vast majority of the citizens in the United States are one paycheck away from being homeless. And
right.
So it could happen to any of us. So that's the kind of the breakdown of our homeless population here in the county. We are different from urban areas because our homeless population, while we don't like them out in the forest, they do not like being in crowded places. Generally speaking, if you walk in San Francisco or Sacramento, they go to shelters pretty regularly. Our homeless people don't really like that. Well, we can't make them do what we want them to do. They're adults. They're not conserved. They're not under any kind of order to follow direction. So we really have to work with them to get buy-in. And sometimes the homeless outreach team will offer up a plan to get somebody into housing 30 times before they finally say yes that one time. We are expanding our homeless outreach efforts into the jail because a lot of folks leaving the jail are going to be homeless. And that is, some of our outreach workers call it the magic moment, where they're clean and sober from addiction. They're maybe on their medications again, and they haven't been on their medications for a while. And that could be the golden moment that they'll say yes to a plan to get them out of homelessness and into some sort of a supported environment.
So then perhaps you can address a little bit what has changed and how things have been a bit more difficult for you, I would rather imagine, since the beginning of this whole pandemic.
Yes, when the pandemic hit, it affected every single person. I mean, I'm not supposed to be at work right now. I'm working from home.
Yep.
And we're all do the social distancing, exercising, all that is really, it's a colossal change in our routine. So with the governor, well, the CARES Act, which was a federal order that created and activated FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Act or agency. And so that the CARES Act filtered down to the state, and the states rolled out, I'm sure you're probably following the governor's daily briefings, but he's rolling out a bunch of programs. COVID-19 emergency funding has come into the county. It came in two paths. As I mentioned previously, the continuum of care received about $85,000, and that COC is what we call it, is going to be taking some action tomorrow about allocating it. It looks like we're going to be probably turning around, and I say we because I'm one of the voting members, and probably turning around and providing it to shelter efforts, because sheltering is, you should really, maybe consider having somebody from hospitality house in for one of these interviews. Their operation, when it was really just an overnight venture, is now 24/7, and that's really impacted their operational costs and the expenses to house somebody 24/7. The COVID emergency funding also sent $74,000 to the county. It's really flexible funding. So that just went to the board yesterday, and they approved receipt of it. And so we're spending a lot of that on hand washing stations. We have 4 hand washing stations here in Western County. There's a hand washing station up in Truckee. There's also some sanitizer pumps mounted at bus stops up in Truckee. That's a part of the funding. A lot of money is going towards housing people. One thing that through this pandemic, we know that about 30% to 40% of the emergency room visits are people that are homeless. So if you see a pandemic on the horizon, you kind of want to move people who are using the emergency room as a primary care physician out of the way to make room for those suffering from the pandemic. So a lot of this effort we've been doing is taking through the state's direction folks that are at risk, meaning they're 65 years or older, they have a serious mental illness or condition, and getting them out of the shelter and out of the off the streets, and try to keep them healthier while we weather this wave or this potential increase in ER visits. So as of this morning, I think there's about 20 people that are housed in hotel rooms locally and over in Truckee. Those are all, either aged or severely physically limited. Some people have just gotten out of the hospital from surgeries. There's some people that might be pregnant. There's some people with traumatic brain injuries that need to be kind of insulated and protected a little more than maybe you or I. And so that's an ongoing effort, and we're continuing that effort. Also, if someone is displaying symptoms and that we don't know if it's COVID related or not, let's say someone comes into the shelter with a cough or a fever, they're not going into general population at the shelter. We're gonna try to put them in a hotel room, get them tested, and isolate them until those tests come back negative. And then so far we have not had any COVID positive people in our hotels yet. A lot of them had colds that we were just making sure it wasn't COVID. But that would take a few days to house them and isolate them and bring meals to them. That hospitality house is doing a great job with their team, keeping everybody kind of isolated and fed. and also case managing along with the home team, case managing. Cole, you might find this interesting, but we do have a public health nurse who's also assigned to the outreach team, and she is also going by and visiting everybody, checking their temperatures, seeing if they need any medications, that sort of thing.
Wonderful.
While we try to keep them isolated. And so this is called Project Room Key. That's the state name. The name the state's dubbed this. That's an effort. Some additional funding that's coming in to help offset the hotel costs.
And so one of the other things that I had mentioned to you before, but I think had been going around the rumor mill to some extent, was the potential plan to house some people at the fairgrounds or turn that into some staging area.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that, and can you talk?
Yes, absolutely. I can speak to that and to the viewers. That kind of went a little to left of field or right of field. So with the federal emergency, health emergency declared, and the state also declaring on, I think it was the 18th of March, a health emergency, that activates the normal Office of Emergency Services reaction through any governmental agency. A city or a town or a county has to activate their OES. So we activated our Office of Emergency Services, and with my assignment on the emergency team 6, which is housing and community services, and also nutrition. We've been meeting, well, it was daily, and now we're just down to 3 days a week to plan and prepare for mass housing, which our mission was to house 100 people in an emergency situation. Some of them have to be isolated because they may be COVID positive, and also house them for 60 days. That's our kind of mission directive through the OES. And so the team, which is comprised of Town of Truckee, county staff, some key community partners, Freed for their disability advocacy, and also Hospitality House, obviously because they're our flagship homeless outreach and housing nonprofit locally. And then also the city of Grass Valley has been a true partner in all of this. Because they do seem to have a lot of the homeless in their jurisdiction on Western County. So this team's been meeting, it was daily, now it's down to 3 days a week. We're trying to set up to meet that mandate of 100 people. We did cost out and look at the fairgrounds as like a top tier. If we really had to step it up, how would we house 100 people? We looked at the fairgrounds. We also looked at some vacant youth camps locally.
Gotcha.
So it wasn't just the fairgrounds. We are looking at other options. And now the latest, and it's emerging, this is all a very complex and evolving situation with the COVID pandemic. We may be bending the curve, to use the governor's language. And, we haven't had a new case, knocking on wood here, for five days now. That maybe we don't have to escalate to 100 people. Maybe we're just keen to maintain protecting the fragile, homeless or at-risk population through hotel rooms and not having to go to a mass sheltering event. Yeah. I've been through the 2 fires and also the Oroville flood. Mass sheltering is it's not just comfortable. It's not fun. It's not fun for staff. It's not fun for the people that have to be there. It's not home, and so what we want to do is try to protect the people that don't have homes so they won't impact the emergency rooms.
So what then can community members that want to help, is there any way for them to go about doing that? Yeah,
well, there's probably another topic for one of your shows is the new Community Relief Fund that's being started up through the CEO's office. I'd invite you to maybe talk more with Caleb Dardick on that, as it's another evolving effort. But I believe they're looking for community cash donations. So if it's just somebody, a viewer that has some time on their hands that's not in a protected class, meaning over 65, or have an underlying serious health condition, there's a lot of volunteering effort out there. A lot of nonprofits that are going above and beyond. Meals on Wheels, the food foundation, the food banks, Interfaith Food, and also Nevada County Food Bank. have really stepped up to deliver more food. That would be a really good going to the volunteer hub through through a Connecting Points website. They can be matched with volunteer jobs in our community, and that's probably the biggest thing right now is help, and also money to make these nonprofits, which are suffering hugely because of a lack of volunteers. Most volunteers in these nonprofits, had to stop volunteering because they're of age. They're 60, 65, or they have a serious health condition that they shouldn't be exposed in the public. They should be isolating.
Yeah.
That would be my recommendation to the viewers. Get involved with a nonprofit. Pick one and help them out.
Wonderful. Yeah, we need some of our younger citizens to step up and start doing some stuff.
And we've seen that too. I think Janeth Martinelli from Gold Country Seniors has a youth group helping them out, preparing and packaging the Meals on Wheels. Interfaith Food Bank has said they've had some youth groups come and volunteer, but there's always something that needs to be done. From a nonprofit's point of view, it's nice to have sufficient volunteers to reach your mission. To get people fed or to help with your needs in the organization.
Is there anything on this topic that you think is important that we haven't touched on yet?
Well, I'm going to sound like I work for public health, but this is the serious thing. If you go to Johns Hopkins website, Johns Hopkins University website, and look
Every
at
day.
that COVID ticker, it's just amazing in a bad way, the number of people losing their lives for this. This is serious. And just because we only have 34 cases in our county and we haven't had a new case in 5 days, hopefully 6 days, we gotta be vigilant right now. We have to know this disease better than we do. And it's gonna take some time, and it's not fun, but especially when the weather gets nice. We gotta do that social distancing and wash your hands.
Thanks again, Mike. Much of our social interaction, be it business or personal, has suddenly switched to online mediums. Zoom video chats in particular have become especially popular. Here at Nevada County Media, we've put together a virtual class to help make your Zoom interactions easier and better. It takes place this Wednesday, April 22nd, from 11:30 to 12:30. Sign up on our Facebook page. We'll leave you tonight with a preview of our cooking show, Let's Get Cookin'. We only got a chance to film 3 episodes before the pandemic halted all our productions. We'll be releasing those episodes soon, so keep an eye out. And we look forward to working with John Voorhees, our host, and all you chefs out there when things get back to normal. Remember, stay safe, take care of each other. We'll see you tomorrow.
We are the highest rated cooking show in Nevada County on public access. So fire up your Grateful Dead if that's your jam, because today on Let's Get Cookin', we're gonna do some shrooms.
And add some wine.
Oh, finally. Don't stick your tongue out at me. Oh, ow, that's so hot. It's a big lie. Remember, Let's Get Cooking, Thursdays at 11 right here on Nevada County Media. I'm John.
Thanks for watching Nevada County Now. Go ahead and like and subscribe, and maybe even click the bell to get notified when a new episode comes up. There's going to be some episodes over here, maybe on either side. Old ones, go back and watch those too. All the views help, and all that liking and subscribing and YouTube stuff really helps our channel grow. Thank you.